Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander Tactical. Back today with more gear. Huge gear nerd. I'm sure this is probably why you're watching it, because you're gear nerds too. And you know, I am a huge fan of the Humble Chest Rig. So when was it now? It's a while back. OneTigris got in touch and asked if I'd like to make some content with them, and of course I said yes. And I noticed that they had this, so this is the Vulture Chest Rig. They've actually got a two. I can't remember what the other one's called. But yes, so this is the Vulture Chest Rig that we will have a look at today. Now, full disclosure, again, you know, I say this on a lot of pieces of content. This was sent to me free of charge. However, again, it's another company that I have a good relationship with. And if I didn't like this, then I would certainly tell you I didn't like this. I'm not being paid to review this favourably. Put it that way. Bit of a spoiler. I actually really do like this. I think as far as OneTigris are concerned, you probably class them as a mid-range kind of company. A lot of the stuff that they make. And I actually mean that with the greatest respect, because the quality of the stuff that they produce and that they create is actually really good. I've paid maybe twice the amount of what one of these costs, and really the difference in the value to the actual quality of the product when you get it has been very small. So you're definitely getting good quality out of their products. I'm probably overgilding the lily on that one, but you know. So what I will do is, at this point, I will certainly say thank you to OneTigris for sending this my way. I certainly appreciate you doing that, and I hope this leads to more amazing reviews in the future. But for now, what we will do is just move the camera slightly so that we can see more from the Vulture Chest Rig from OneTigris. So as we usually do, we'll go through some measurements, some materials, all of that sort of stuff, and then we'll have a look at the actual features of the Vulture Chest Rig itself. Size-wise, if I just grab my tape measure here, across the front as it spans, it's about 13 inches across. The depth of this is roughly about 6 inches. I wouldn't say it's any larger, I wouldn't say it's any smaller than any standard M4 chest rig. By that, and certainly an extra point, is that this has 4 M4 magazines across the front here. I know that there are some smaller versions out there that only fit 3, so if you're looking to compare this towards other chest rigs, then make sure you're comparing sausages for sausages rather than sausages for eggs, because I don't know where I was going with that one. But anyway, so yes, so you've got the 4 magazines on here. It's constructed from 500D nylon, which makes it nice and strong. It's a Cordura-like material. If you're one of those Cordura snobs, just get over it. Just get over it. But yes, you know, 500D, if you're one of those 1000D snobs, just get over it. Just get over it. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, very, very tough. I haven't owned this as long as I've owned some other ones. However, I've used this on maybe, how many now, like 3, 4 skirmishes, and I mean, it looks brand new. I certainly haven't been lying prone on this, and that's probably one of the major things, which I have done with some of my other ones. But no tears, no rips, no issues with the stitching or anything like this. When I got this to me and, you know, I started to look through the stitching, I'll say that the stitching on here is immaculate. Haven't found any weird stray edges or anything like that. Colours wise, it comes in your standard colours. This is the Coyote version. I think there's a green, a black, and then there's also, I think there's a couple of other colours, but there is also a multicam version of this as well. All of your hardware, the zippers on here are reverse stitched, and these are also the newer YKK RC zippers, which means that they are just ridiculously smooth. You don't get any snags. They're also the self-repairing ones as well, the way in which they've changed the teeth on these, how they kind of overlap themselves. So yeah, buttery smooth. Haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. All of the hardware on here, so we have 2 buckles here on the side, another 2 here, and then we have 2 that come across the harness onto the chest rig itself. And then you've also got these little kind of pinch retainers. So these are all Duraflex. Now as far as your hardware goes, Duraflex are right up there. Well, I mean, I'd say that they are up there. They are the top kind of producers of all of this hardware. So yes, they're all on there as well, and they all match, of course. So getting on to the actual features now, I've kind of spoiled one of them already, so hopefully you'll be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4 magazines that will fit across the front. These are double stack pouches. At the moment I just have these with single stacks, but should I want to take one out, pull it across the top, get it in there, like with most things. Oh, let's just have to just give it a gentle love tap, but it will go in there. I think that's just because I was trying to look at myself on the camera there whilst doing it. And then your retention straps, these are easy to adjust. You can just pull that out and then you've got it over the top. The retention strap pullers are very easy to get to. It's made from the same, it looks like the same webbing that is on, that goes across the top. Yeah, very robust, and the bungees are also really nice and strong as well. Certainly trying to get that on there, I had to release it to make sure that I can get it on. What I'll do is I'll take that out, put it back in there. That bungee retention can go straight over, and then this one you can pull that just a little bit tighter, and then there you go. If you want to run with 4 or you want to run with 8, you have the option on this. Now as far as different magazines, AR, AK, M4, G33, 36s, sorry, they will all fit in here. Obviously some of those are a little bit taller. If you're running longer P-mags, all of that sort of stuff, then you can adjust this to lift it up and it will then adjust itself so that it can fit in there. If you're running some of those smaller 9mm style magazines, you can definitely fit them in and this will go over the top, but of course you're going to get a little bit of swaying because it's designed for your 5.56, your 223 and above rather than your 9mm ones. On the front you have on both sides, so depending on whether you're a lefty or a righty, you have 2 quick release and then you have in here, so it's hook and loop on the back and then there are tabs on the front. And plus, if you need to put on here so that you know which is in which, I mean, I guess you probably know which was in which, but if somebody needed to take something from out of here, there is hook and loop panels here on the front. There's also one here on the front as well. If you want to put on a morale patch, you can do that as well. Because I'm right-handed and reload with my left, here on my left-hand side, 2 9mm magazines fit in there perfectly. I can dump my other one that's been used in a pouch behind my back, grab one of these, reload, and then I'm off. On the right hand side here, mainly because I use this for tools and admin, I can lift this up. I have instant access to a flashlight should I need it, and then also in here I have a Leatherman tool. And what I do with my Leatherman tool is I use some of these Ranger bands. Apologies for the drilling in the background. But I use some of these Ranger bands and I keep a few of them inside each other so that when I then put my Leatherman tool inside those Ranger bands, I can then drop those in here. And it just means that it doesn't rattle around as much. Does everybody use Ranger bands? I don't know if that's a daft question or not. I'd like to think everybody uses Ranger bands. Maybe that's an idea for another piece of content in the future. So then in the middle here there is a larger admin pouch, or you know, whatever you want to keep in here, maybe some additional tools. You've got some PALS webbing on here. There are 2 rows with 4 columns should you want to put something additional on there, and as I mentioned you have that morale patch section. But rather than allowing this to fall all the way down, if I do that and push out my pigeon chest, you'll see that there is some gusseting here in the side to make sure if you do have some heavy tools in here, it won't just completely fall open and splay out all of your tools. I've got a Rights in the Rain notepad, Altoids tin just for little bits and bobs, and I've got my Burt's Bees in there as well. But on the back, so you have a large if I bring this up, you have a large mesh pocket which makes it very easy to be able to find things, and then on the front there are 2 additional pockets in the front. Now it's such a shame, because if they were just that extra little bit bigger, you'd be able to fit an Altoids tin in there for all of those little knickknacks, but they just don't fit. But you can fit cards, you can fit your wallet into there, as long as you don't have some huge hulking wallet. And then also on the inside here you have a little piece of elastic, or at least elastic loop, so if you want to put your car keys, your locker key, anything like that, if you're at the range, you can put that in there so it's safe should you need to get it. Fairly standard affair as far as chest rigs go, and everything can be fully adjusted. You know, you can lift this up or down if you prefer to run this a little bit lower, and then also on the sides as well. So again, I'd say that as far as chest rigs go, it's a fairly kind of typical setup for this. I'll just turn around now so you'll be able to see that this is an X harness. So the 2 buckles that are here on either side, you can release either one of these and you'll be able to take it off, as long as you've also undone the waist strap. The waist strap is there purely just to make sure that some of this lateral movement is reduced, and also if you're going full tilt across whatever you're running across, it stops that lifting. In fact, if I undo this now, you'll be able to see it would just hit you in the chin as you're running across. Duraflex buckles, that really nice click when it goes in there, and it keeps it in place. These can be adjusted on either side depending on whether you're a lefty or a righty, or whether, well, I don't know, depending on however you like to set it up. But yes, of course they can be adjusted on either side. I'm just going to take this off just so that we can have a look at the back of this. Very simple, lift it up over your head and then you're off. The straps, I certainly wouldn't call these padded. What you tend to find with your chest straps, like chest rigs like these, that the straps that go across are as minimal as possible, because these can be easily ran over over a plate carrier should you need to. So having those as thin as possible to go over anything else just certainly is an advantage. But all of these can be removed as well, so if you wanted to, you could run something else. If you prefer an H style harness rather than an X style harness, again, Duraflex buckles, they're all kind of the same, so if you have something from another rig that you just want to throw onto this, you can do that as well. Now on the back, just to show how the modularity as well will work with this, so on the back here you have this kind of non-slip material. Certainly doesn't stop you from sweating. You will still sweat with this, but between there's actually kind of 2 layers. If I can push that like that, you might be able to see that the light changes in between. So there's like a back membrane, and then there is also this mesh grid over the top of that, so it does help to wick away some of that moisture. If you're skirmishing all day, it'll help to keep you a little bit drier. I mean, that's not really right. It won't keep you dry, it will just help to move some of that moisture away from your body. If you do like to be a little bit modular and you've got different styles of play, or maybe you're training with different pieces of equipment, rather than having to take all of your kit out of this to then put into a plate carrier, or depending on the type of plate carrier that you have, this works exactly like a lot of the placard systems on other plate carriers works. So you can take off the straps for the shoulder, you can then attach this to the buckles that are on your plate carrier, and then on the back here, this whole thing has a hook and loop panel. You put that, you just put that in your kit bag, turn this over, make sure that your buckles are on, fold it down, and then just give it a bit of a push, and it will make sure that that is there nice and secure. What I'll also say is, so I did try to see if it would work with my Helicon Tex ones. So a lot of these have that additional modularity where you can have additional maybe radio pouches on the side, and then what the radio pouch does is it kind of fits also kind of how your cummerbund would fit if you had a cummerbund on your plate carrier. It fits in between here so that when you close it. Now the Helicon Tex ones, the Velcro is the reverse of how it would be on here, so it does have the option that you could add those to it, but what I would do is I would make sure that you check the orientation of your of the hook and loop. So on this, the hook is on this side, on the actual plate, on the actual chest rig itself, and the loop is on the panel that you then tear off. So yeah, you do have the option to that should you need to. Now I will say, I know a lot of people give X harnesses a bit of grief, but having used this and got a bit sweaty, I've certainly not found that I've had any issues with it. What I will say is though, which I think you get with most of these sort of things when you're trying to put them on and off yourself, is hopefully I've done it when I've done this, but if I turn around now you might see that some of the in fact I'm trying to put it right, but you might see that some of them have just turned or twisted slightly, which you just get. I think that's possibly some of the kind of the feedback that people have with an X harness. I don't know if you can see or if it has done it, but you might find, in fact I can feel that it's done it here. So if you're there with a buddy, then you just ask for them to be able to do that, or if you look in your car mirror, then you can undo one, give it a bit of a twist, kind of put it back again, undo the other one, look in your car window, you can do that, put it back again, and yeah, you know, you're right as rain. Now I'll definitely say that I'm very impressed with the Vulture Chest Rig. I think OneTigris have done something. Actually, okay, let's take a step back, because I know I've said a few times as far as this being a very traditional layout. I don't think OneTigris have had to reinvent the wheel as such. They've not completely gone, let's make a chest rig that's different to everything else. It really does have a very traditional feel and setup to it. However, I think in a lot of these instances, really a lot of it comes down to, have you got the basics right? And OneTigris have definitely nailed the basics with this. Material, excellent material. All of the hardware on here, yeah, okay. They've used a tried and tested layout, and that's because it works. People are used to this sort of layout, so trying to, I don't know, change things so that they're slanted or move these to... They didn't need to do that, but getting the basics right is exactly what they've done. Plus, I mean, this is a fraction of the price of some of those other big name items, and I mean that with the greatest respect. You know, there are some big names out there. I'm certainly not going to mention, because I don't want to throw any shade or anything like that, but you're paying a lot for the name at the end of the day. The quality of the stitching, the quality of the goods are probably not as high. Some people are like, oh well, yeah, but they put in the R&D and they've done this and they've done that, but at the end of the day, getting a piece of kit that works for you is exactly what you need, and I think you can get that with this and not have to break the bank in order to be able to do that. I think that's that's the roundabout way of what I was trying to say there. So yeah, now thank you again to OneTigris for sending me this Vulture Chest Rig. Thank you. I certainly hope this leads to other pieces of content that we can work together on in the future. I'll leave all of OneTigris's links below, and leave their social media links as well, and you know, where you can pick one of these up. I'll leave some of my social media links as well below. But for now, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay tactical. I mean that with the greatest respect. This is a very good quality rig that you can get and not have to spend, you know, a lot of money on. I'm gonna have to start this again. Hi, I'm the Moorlander, and this is Moorlander Tactical. So, I'm only a few pieces of content in. I don't want to say that. Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander Tactical. With you today on a fine chest rig. It's a lot of noise, isn't it? It's a lot of noise. Hope the camera's not picking it up, it probably is, but I'm certainly not the type that's selfish enough to go and ask my neighbours not to do stuff whilst, you know, I'm out being a knob filming.